I'd like to start out by asking you a question. What are some of the most innovative companies you can think of? And don't everyone say Apple and Google, all right? Let's get a couple other names out there.
3M.
3M. Who else?
Target.
Target, okay. Who else?
General Mills.
General Mills.
Medtronic.
Medtronic, okay. Great examples, great examples. Very innovative organizations and exceptionally strong brands, okay? I subscribe to a very simple branding philosophy, and that is that strong brands, and Judy was talking about brands earlier today, so this also applies to your personal brands. I think that strong brands have three characteristics, and if you think of the examples of the organizations you just mentioned, Medtronic and Target and 3M and General Mills, right? I think they have three characteristics. Number one is they are distinctive, okay? Number two is they're relevant. They're relevant to our time. And number three is that they are consistent. Distinctive, relevant, and consistent. When we think of innovation, I think we think primarily of that first characteristic, that they are distinctive. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. Now my topic, I talked about simplifying innovation, so I have 3 slides. So I'm keeping it very simple. So I am on brand message here with my own topic. So that's my first slide, right? That's the logo for Business of Ideas. Okay, so I'd like to talk to you about a company in Newberg, Oregon. If you have been to Portland, Oregon, Newberg is about, a half hour. It's in the Willamette Valley, right? Wine growing region. And the name of the company is ADEC, A-D-E-C, which stands for A Dental Equipment Company. Oh, wildly creative name, right? A Dental Equipment Company, ADEC. Well, how many of you have been to your dentist recently? Let's say within the past 2 years, if you're like me. You don't go as often as you should, right? Okay, well, let me tell you something. If you reclined on a very comfortable chair and they tilted you back and they shine that light on you, that's what ADEC does, right? They make chairs and lights and the operatory stands where they bring the drills and the air and the water, rinse and spit and all that kind of stuff, right? And they are the market leader. In the state of Oregon, for 9 years in a row, they have been named one of the most admired companies in the state. In the dental products industry, for 13 years in a row, they have been named the #1 product in all of their categories. Pretty impressive, right? They're a family-owned business. They've got about 1,000 employees. They were worried that they were losing their edge in innovation, that they were getting maybe a little bit too complacent. So they thought, you know, we need some kind of an innovation program. So they started out by calling all the usual suspects, right? So they called Bain and they called Boston Consulting and all of these other firms who came out there and they had their 200-slide PowerPoint presentations and everything else. And I'm not criticizing that. That stuff works. But it really didn't match up with ADEC's culture. They're a family-owned business, you know, tightly knit group. So they called us out, and we went out there. It's a pretty impressive operation. It's 13 acres all under one roof. You can tell I'm not a Midwesterner because I didn't say roof, I said roof. Okay. So anyway, we walked around, and they make everything there. They mold their own plastic for the chairs. They do all of the fabrics on the cushions and everything else. It's all done right there. I mean, this is a very impressive operation. So we walked around, and they basically have about 12 different departments. Okay, so we talked to people, and we walked around. And we came back to them with an idea for an innovation program. So after they had received all of the bids from Bain and Boston Consulting and McKinsey and all of these other people, they were curious, well, how much is this going to cost? And I said, outside of our fees, it's going to cost you about $5,000 to $7,000 a year. And they looked at me like I was crazy. Here's the ADEC Innovation Program. It consists of 12 whiteboards, a stack of Post-it notes, a marker, and the willingness of the organization to buy lunch for employees once a month. That's their innovation program. Now I'll tell you more about it. Okay? Once a month, each of ADEC's 1,000 employees is asked to generate one idea. One idea. Here's my big second slide here, so if you're taking photographs, get ready. There it is, okay? All right. One idea. All right, so you have, whether it's 30 days or 31 days or 29 days, to come up with one idea for your department that will either make your job easier or an idea that will improve a process. You've got a whole month to think of one idea. Okay? At the end of the month, the department manager buys lunch for the group. They all meet, they have lunch, they talk about all of the different ideas, and it's totally anonymous, so your name is not on it. And then they do something really complicated. They vote. They vote on the idea they like best. After that, the department managers meet with their senior executive staff at ADEC, and they present 12 ideas each month to senior leadership. So I can tell you at the end of a year that the company has implemented a lot of these ideas, right? And some of these are incremental innovation ideas, right? It isn't brain surgery, it's a simple process improvement, right? But, the Toyota organization is legendary for incremental innovation. It works, okay? They have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all it took was a couple of whiteboards, a stack of Post-it notes, some markers, and pizza, right? Very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be very complicated. You don't need sophisticated software programs where employees are generating ideas and then it goes in there and people are voting and they're trying to sort it all out. Another organization I was working with called me in and said, we bought one of these software programs where, employee engagement is really big, right? Hot topic. You can't work in business without hearing about employee engagement these days. So they said, we're going to engage employees in innovation. So they bought this complicated, expensive software program, and employees are generating ideas. So I said, how's it going for you? And they said, well, we think pretty good. I said, okay, that sounds a little skeptical. And they said, well, in the first month we got 800 ideas. And I said, wow, that's pretty impressive. And they said, yeah, we're not sure exactly what to do with them now, right? So they have 800 ideas, and it's like, what do we do with all of this stuff, right? So if you can simplify the process, make it easier, I think you'll get a lot of participation, far greater engagement. In the example I gave you with ADEC, it involves every employee. So everyone is required to generate one idea each month, right? There's 1,000 employees, so they get 12,000 ideas a year, right? Even if 1% of those ideas are good, they're getting 120 new ideas every year. And every employee is involved every month. Not only generating ideas, but evaluating those ideas. And it's a simple, simple process. I want to ask you all to do one thing. When you go back to wherever you work, I want you to look at who you wrote the largest checks to in 2015. Who are the vendors that you are spending the most amount of money with? All right? I want you to make a list of, say, the top 5 or top 10. And here's what I want you to do. And I'll tell you why. These are people who have a vested interest in your success. When you succeed, they succeed, right? It's pretty simple. I want you to ask each one of them once a quarter to give you a new idea for how you can improve your business, how you could improve your relationship with them, how they can save you money, or any observations they might have on how you could be operating better. Right? Why not ask other people to get involved and get engaged in your innovation process, right? Because they have a vested interest in your success. Get ready. Here's slide number 2. All right? Have one. This is all I got. So here we go. Oh, there's a logo. Looks familiar, right? For all of us here. Target. Target, if you want. So a while back, I got called by folks at Target, big idea team. They were interested in generating more business for their kids department. And they said, well, how can we make our kids department more interesting to kids? I said, okay. So I thought about it, and I said, I need an entire day, and we've got to go off campus. You would have thought I asked them to invest in Walmart stock or something. I mean, they were just like, a whole day? Oh, no, we can't possibly do a whole day. So I said, okay, well then, I can make a couple other recommendations for you, but I can't do it. And they looked at me like I was out of my mind. The person said, well, you realize that it's Target, like we're Target, and you're saying that you don't want to do this? And I said, I need a whole day. So they grudgingly kind of said, okay, fine. So I got the team together and loaded up a van, and I had a duffel bag, and we went to a Target store in St. Louis Park, right? And I got to tell you, I was getting all kinds of attitude, right? I mean, these were people, they didn't have time for me. Who was I? I wasn't a big name. I wasn't even like from New York or LA or London or someplace interesting. I mean, I was local. It's like, who is this guy, right? So we go to the store, and there were a couple of their younger designers there. And how many of you have teenagers at home, right? You know what teenagers are like when they don't want to be somewhere or do something. So I was getting all of the attitudes, right? I was getting the slouch, I was getting the eye roll, I'm getting the heavy sighs. And so I just kind of was, I was patient. I unzipped my duffel bag and I dumped out 15 pairs of knee pads. And they looked at me like, okay, what are we doing here? And I said, put them on. And all of a sudden, you could start to see the little light bulbs were going off on their heads. If you're a kid, you don't look at the department from 6 feet up here. You get down and you look at it. So put the knee pads on and look at the department the way a kid would look at the department. You would have thought, that I invented the iPhone or something. I mean, they were just like, oh my God, like what a revelation, right? Make a simple adjustment, okay? It's very simple. Change your perspective, okay? Keep it simple. One idea, change your perspective. Those are two simple things you can do right now. The other thing about that, in changing your perspective, is you can ask any expert you want. You remember years ago it was popularized like, what would Jesus do? And then it's like, what would Wellstone do? And what would all of these people do? You could ask anyone, right? In any business challenge you've got, in any situation, what would Steve Jobs do here? Right? What would Warren Buffett do? Whoever it is, you can channel other people. The thing is to try and shift your perspective in some way. Right? So, you paid to be here, and everybody, I think, is interested in innovation, but I want to know if you're really serious about innovation. Are you really committed? It reminds me of something. Do we have any Seinfeld fans out there? I'm kind of dating myself, but Seinfeld, right? There's an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer, right, Seinfeld's neighbor, Cosmo Kramer, slides into Jerry's apartment, and Jerry is there and George is there, and Kramer is all excited. He's like, it's a beautiful day, let's go have some fun. And Jerry and George are kind of like, yeah. And Kramer goes, do you want to have fun? And Jerry goes, yeah. And Kramer goes, do you really want to have fun, or are you just saying you want to have fun? And Jerry goes, I'm just saying I want to have fun, right? So I'm going to ask you, are you really committed to being more innovative and creative, or are you just saying you want to be more innovative and creative? Because if you are, I want you to do two things each day, and I guarantee you, you will increase your level of creativity and innovation, and it's very simple. It'll take you 5 minutes. So do it either in the morning or when you go to bed at night. One is that try to shift your perspective. Get out of your own head. Channel whoever you want. It can be anybody. It could even be your dog. I don't care, right? And then I want you to think of a challenge you have or something that you want to generate an idea about, and ask yourself, how would this person look at this problem? So how can I shift my point of view, my perspective, and come up with just one idea each day? And I guarantee you that you'll be more creative and more innovative. Thank you.